Not every woman is meant to be loved. Some are meant to be survived, and some avoided like a curse. There are women whose beauty is not a gift, but bait. Women whose affection feels like fire, not warmth, because it's meant to burn through your frame until nothing of you remains but smoke and regret. And the cruelest part, you won't even see it coming, because she won't scream. She won't chase. She won't even hate you. She'll just study you until she knows exactly what kind of lie you need to hear before you hand her your soul. You think trust is noble? That giving it is the sign of a strong man. It's not. It's a gamble. And the modern man is losing daily because he trusts women who were never built to be trusted. Not all women, but some. And if you don't learn to spot them, you won't just lose love. You'll lose years, purpose, self-respect, vision. These women aren't loud. They aren't always cruel, but they are dangerous in ways no one warned you about, because no one profits from a man who sees clearly. They profit from a man who doubts himself, chases blindly, and calls submission love. You've met her before, the woman whose praise feels addictive, whose silence cuts like a knife, the one who smiles while setting your boundaries on fire. She's not broken. She's precise, and she doesn't need to overpower you. She only needs you to underestimate her. There are 5 of them, 5 female archetypes that don't want your heart. They want your direction, your power, your clarity, just long enough to drain it. And then they move on. You want to be loved. She wants to consume. She doesn't chase. She doesn't beg. She doesn't even speak much. She doesn't need to, because her presence does all the work. She walks into a room, and men forget why they came. She laughs, and you forget why you left. But what you don't realize until it's too late is that her silence is not softness. It's a weapon, and you've already been cut. She doesn't need to impress you. You want to impress her. She doesn't need to control you. You surrender voluntarily, because the siren doesn't force. She invites. And once you're inside her spell, you mistake obsession for love. You tell yourself it's destiny. But destiny doesn't drain your purpose. This one does. She's the woman who fuels your hunger, not your focus. She amplifies your desire, not your direction. She doesn't ask for your attention. She becomes your attention. And once she owns your gaze, she owns your spine. Because when your life bends around her, you've already betrayed yourself. You don't trust her. You worship her. And that's why you fall. She's not here to hurt you. She's here to own the part of you that was never grounded. And when she finally walks away, she won't cry. She won't explain. She'll just leave you staring at the version of yourself that you abandoned to please her, empty, faithful, and completely forgotten. She never raises her voice. She doesn't seduce. She doesn't dominate. But she destroys with sympathy. She tells you she's been hurt, that no one understood her, that she's always been the one who gave more, loved harder, lost deeper. And you, wanting to be the savior, step in like a knight with no armor, because her pain feels pure. Her eyes tell stories soaked in betrayal. And you think, I'll never be like the others. You already are. You don't realize it yet, but you're not falling in love. You're falling into her story. You're not becoming her partner. You're becoming her proof, her defense, her emotional crutch. And when she collapses, you rush to fix her. But you can't fix someone. Who needs to stay broken to feel loved? Because the victim doesn't want to rise. She wants a witness. She wants someone to validate her wounds, not help her heal them. And that someone is you. You become addicted to her chaos disguised as fragility. Every time you pull away, she breaks again. Every time you set a boundary, she bleeds emotionally. And you, craving peace, cave in until you're nothing but her therapist with a fading erection. Her power is soft, but suffocating. She makes you feel guilty for wanting space, guilty for having needs, guilty for trying to breathe outside her pain. And the worst part? The moment you finally walk away, she'll tell the next man how you became her latest scar, because the victim never runs out of villains, only rescuers. She enters with standards, expectations, a checklist dressed as a personality. She doesn't want a man. She wants a position filled. And if you make the mistake of applying, congratulations. You just stepped into a job with no pay, no power, and infinite performance reviews. She doesn't want to grow with you. She wants you to qualify. She doesn't love men. She selects them like tools, each meant to serve a purpose. And if you serve it well, you might get breadcrumbs of praise. If you slip once, you'll be reminded that you're lucky she even looked your way. Because she was taught to believe she's the prize, not through earned value, but through entitlement. She weaponizes femininity like a contract, soft when she wants something, sharp when she doesn't get it. She quotes standards, but never lives them. She demands leadership, but punishes authority. You will never feel masculine next to her, only measured. You'll constantly adapt, adjust, appease, just to keep the peace, but the peace never lasts, because the queen without a throne doesn't want peace. She wants control without accountability. And once she has it, she'll reshape you into the version that serves her kingdom, not yours. You'll think you're leading, but you're not. You're performing. You're shrinking. And every time you speak your truth, she'll twist it into rebellion. Because in her world, love is submission, and your strength is a threat. Eventually, you'll forget what your voice sounds like. You'll speak only when spoken to, smile when tolerated, shrink when questioned. And when you finally snap, she'll call you unstable. She won't cry. She'll record it, for proof, for court, for the story. Because she never wanted a partner. She wanted a subject. She doesn't flirt. She studies. She doesn't seduce. She positions. Her power doesn't come from beauty. It comes from understanding how power works. You think you're making decisions. You're not. You're being steered, gently, subtly, constantly. Because she doesn't want to dominate you. She wants to design you, not with threats, with tactics. She's fluent in weakness. She knows your insecurities better than you do. And she'll never attack them directly. She'll feed them, encourage them, reward them when they serve her. She makes you feel like the king of your world, while slowly rewriting your kingdom. Your circle shrinks. Your focus shifts. Your vision dulls. But you think it's love because she never raises her voice. She raises the stakes. She creates emotional contracts, unspoken but binding. You do this, or she becomes disappointed. You disagree, and she becomes hurt. But she never yells, never cries. She just lets you drown in your own guilt. You'll try to win her approval. But it was never meant to be won, because her control isn't about dominance. It's about design. She doesn't want to destroy you. She wants to repurpose you into something useful. And when you're no longer useful, she'll exit without drama. No closure, no breakdown, just deletion. And the worst part? You won't even be angry. You'll thank her, because she'll leave you so reprogrammed, you'll think losing yourself was your idea. You thought betrayal would come with fire, with shouting, with dramatic exits. But real damage doesn't sound like destruction. It sounds like silence, like agreement, like comfort that slowly kills direction. These 5 women don't break you with chaos. They break you with influence, quiet, calculated, intentional. They don't want your love. They want what your love gives them. power, validation, energy, protection, without ever offering submission in return. And you're not broken because you trusted. You're broken because you forgot to test back. You thought loyalty was earned by giving yourself away. But real loyalty begins with discernment, with watching, with knowing that not every soft smile hides softness. Some hide teeth. Not every woman is dangerous, but the ones who are, the real ones, don't look like a threat. They look like salvation. They look like everything you never got as a child. And that's exactly how they disarm you. You don't need to hate them. You don't even need to fight them. You just need to see them for what they are, not for what you wish they could be. Because once you see them, truly see them, they lose their grip. They lose their power. They lose the illusion. And in that moment, you stop being a target. You become something rare, untouchable, unmoved, awake. You thought awareness would make you bitter. It doesn't. It makes you free. Because once you understand who she is, you stop begging her to be something she's not. You stop molding yourself to fit her fantasy. You stop handing over your soul just to earn her affection. Most men are not broken by women. They're broken by illusion. The illusion that every woman is a reward, that love is a prize for obedience, that sacrifice leads to respect. But the truth is far colder. Love does not require you to shrink. Trust does not require blindness. And loyalty to the wrong woman is disloyalty to your future. The strongest men aren't cold. They're clear. They don't hate women. They recognize patterns. They don't generalize. They categorize. Not out of fear, out of wisdom. Because when you know what to avoid, you start to see what's worth protecting. Your peace, your focus, your mission, and most of all, your masculine frame. The frame that doesn't bend when she tests, that doesn't collapse when she cries, that doesn't chase after ghosts dressed as soulmates, not because you're hard, but because you're anchored. You don't rise by avoiding women. You rise by returning to yourself. Because the man who fears manipulation is still ruled by it. But the man who's rooted, who sees clearly, who holds frame, can walk into any fire and walk out untouched. Not because he avoided danger, because he couldn't be moved by it. You've been trained to give, to open up, to trust early, to prove you're different. But the masculine doesn't prove, it establishes. You don't show your value by bleeding for her. You show it by standing still when everything inside her tries to shake you. You show it by walking away when the cost of staying is your self-respect. You show it by being willing to lose her before you ever consider losing yourself. This doesn't make you cold. It makes you credible. Because a man who can say no without anger is a man who can lead. A man who doesn't chase chaos. A man who attracts peace not because he's passive, but because he's earned it through war. The strategist can't rewire him. The siren can't seduce him. The victim can't guilt him. The queen can't enslave him. Because he no longer looks for validation in their eyes. He sees himself fully, completely, finally. They called you paranoid, too harsh, too guarded, but they never saw what you lost behind your smile. They never saw how much you gave, how much you bled, how much of yourself you buried just to keep the peace. They saw a man who walked away and assumed it was ego, but they never saw how long you waited to be seen, heard, respected. You were never the villain. You were just the one who stopped playing the fool. Now you see the signs, the shifts, the subtle power plays wrapped in softness. You hear the praise with strings attached. You feel the silence that punishes instead of soothes. And you don't flinch, because awareness has replaced desperation, and clarity has killed the illusion. You're no longer the man who asks, "What does she want?" You ask, "Does this alignment serve my mission?" You no longer compromise identity for connection. You no longer trade peace for attention. You no longer fall for the story. You read between the lines, and in that silence, something new is born. Not fear, not hatred, but standard. You don't demand loyalty. You attract it by becoming the man who would rather walk alone than lie beside someone who drains him. That man, he's not loud. He's not bitter. He's not desperate. He's inevitable. This is not a warning. It's a mirror. Because the real threat was never her. It was your blindness to her nature. You don't need revenge. You don't need to win her back. You need to remember who you were before you started bleeding just to be seen. Before you confused being needed with being respected. Before you traded purpose for approval. Before you handed over your crown just to feel loved for a moment. The man who learns this doesn't become bitter. He becomes dangerous because he no longer breaks when she pulls away. He no longer runs when she tests him. He no longer abandons himself to keep her close. And now, he watches. He studies. He discerns. He knows that not every woman is the enemy, but some are the exam. And only the man who remains rooted, focused, and free can pass it. You were not born to be her toy, her fixer, her backup plan. You were born to lead. So stop negotiating with manipulation. Stop dancing for approval. Stop dying by degrees. There's a difference between a man who wants her and a man who knows who he is with or without her. Be the second, because the first one always begs, and the second, he's the one she remembers when she's alone in the silence and realizes she couldn't break him.